It's BS with Bob Schmidt here on today's Talk 1490. Good morning. My name is Bob. Every once in a while you get a chance to, talk to all kinds of different people here on the radio station. My next guest from the band Great White, Terry Ilous, joining me this morning. Terry, good morning. Appreciate you spending time with me this morning. You're out in California, so it's early for you.
Right. It's good morning. It's 6 o'clock right now in Los Angeles.
All right, I gotta ask. The whole rock and roll lifestyle. It's all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right?
Not at all.
No. No. That's so shocking to me.
I know, Bob. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear the good things, but nope. When we were younger, 20 years ago, some of us did some bad things.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to name anyone, but nowadays I have to disappoint you. I'm a dad, so I have a kid, and I want to raise my child.
And actually, that's kudos to you. Congratulations on that. I saw Great White back in the '80s. My wife and I, she was my girlfriend at the time, went to the White tour, and it was Great White, White Lion, and White Snake. It was up in the Twin Cities at a venue, and it was really cool to see all that white all together. You know what I mean?
So you're still married to the same lady?
Yeah, 26 years. We just celebrated 26 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You said I've got 4 kids. My oldest turns 21 actually this coming Monday. So.
Oh, good for you, man. My kid is 10 years old, so I have to wake up early to make breakfast and things like that.
A rock and roller getting up making breakfast for their. Come on, Terry.
No,
you're blowing us out of water, buddy.
I know. I want to set up a good. I want to set up a good example. I want to make sure that my kid remembers me as a pretty decent person. So that's all.
Right. Well, you're with the band Great White, also with the band XYZ.
Right.
So
I found it in the band, yeah.
And so when you, it's funny because when I talk to you, you have an accent.
Right. Well, I do. Oh my God.
I know. It's shocking, right? But when you sing, you don't have that accent.
No, I know. It's like the Beatles. If you hear Paul McCartney sing, you're like, oh my God, and then you hear him talk, you're like, hello,
Right, or Ozzy Osbourne, it's kind of the same thing. You can't understand him talking at all.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a thing because when you repeat things when you sing, eventually you get the enunciation correctly, and it's fine.
So how hard is it to get up on stage and belt out in songs? Because when you're singing, you put your heart and soul and everything into it. How hard is it to get up and do that night after night after night?
It's not hard at all, because the truth is I enjoy what I do for a living.
Uh-huh.
I always say I don't do it for the money, and that's the truth. I get paid well, but I get paid well to travel, but I play for free. That's my mentality. I love to go on stage, I love to see the fans, I love to give 1,000% of myself. That's what it's all about. I always believe that tonight could be my last night, so I want to make sure I give 1,000% of myself. And so it's not difficult at all, Bob. It's just like for you when you go and do your show. You're like, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm tired. But the truth is, once you're behind the mic, right, you're just like, here we go, hello, folks.
And honestly, Terry, you're absolutely right. If you find a job that you love doing, it's not like you work at all.
Yes.
And actually, I've been since we set up this interview, I've been kind of looking around and looking at your website, listening to you sing and all that stuff. And you've got a fantastic voice. You can belt it out. But I was looking back at some of your XYZ stuff. When, you had hair. You were obviously the glam rock '80s guy.
Yeah, I got hair. I still have hair, but it's on my back nowadays.
I still have my hair. It's in a bag.
It's like Ron Jeremy. I have hair all over my back. No, I'm just kidding.
What's the difference between rock and roll back in the '80s and rock and roll in the in 2016?
Well, rock and roll in the '80s, you had you just would go up on stage and sing and have a good time. After the show, you would some of them would do a lot of drugs and drink a lot and parties. And rock and roll in nowadays, you do a show, and as soon as you're done, you're like, oh my God, somebody give me an Aleve or Advil or something. I don't feel right, So just basically you're you're just tired. No, basically the truth is when you're done playing, you just go to your room and you sleep, and that's about it.
So rock and rollers age the same, the same way the rest of us do.
It's tough. I mean, but you know what? You know, Bob, if you take care of yourself correctly, if I work out a lot, I practice judo and all kinds of martial arts. If you take care of yourself, you can age gracefully. That's what I believe. I mean, you're still gonna age, but that's life. But just take care of yourself. You know.
Terry Ilous joining us this morning from the band Great White and XYZ. Great White made a lot of headlines a few years ago with the fire in Rhode Island. I know you weren't part of the band at the time, but that was actually a different band, but going by the name, right? So I mean, you guys kind of have two versions of Great White that are out there.
To my recollection, it was Jack Russell and some other guys. The original members of the bands were not involved.
Okay.
Which is very unfortunate. It's a very, very, very unfortunate event, and unfortunate is not even a strong word. As a parent myself, I cannot even fathom the idea of losing a child. So I've always felt a very, very close tie to the families because I'm a parent, you know. So
right.
So
well, Terry, actually, I had a chance to see your daughter. I'm on your pledgemusic.com. page with projects, and I'm like, oh, who's this cute little girl that's doing this interview? Oh, and then she goes in. I was like, it's Terry Ilous. No, you can call me Dad.
Well, you know, I was lucky enough. My wife and I were lucky enough to adopt a child years ago. We went to China. Actually, 9 years ago, we went to China and we adopted a little girl, and she changed our lives. I mean. I'm a parent, and it's a beautiful thing to be a parent. You know, if you know, I think so. You know.
Oh, absolutely! It's the greatest gift that I've ever received. You know, my 4 children.
See, you get good kids, and you come home to your kids. You know, it's actually pretty rock and roll. Also, you know, people don't think it's rock and roll, but having a good family is actually a pretty rock and roll lifestyle as well. You know, it's just because it's fun. For me, rock and roll it means fun. So having a good family. It's also fun.
Does your wife and daughter travel with you then when you go and do shows?
No, but my daughter loves to travel to go to like we just did something for Line 6, an event for was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago we did a podcast and from the recording studios of Line 6, and she likes to come with me and help me, like be my assistant. She's like to say, "Can I get you a glass of water? Can I?" Do you need a towel? You know, she likes to be my assistant, and she's for me, it's a blessing to be able to involve my kids, but I do not want her to be an artist. That's for sure.
Right. And it's kind of me and my kids. I don't want them to get into radio, and none of the 4 have any desire to do so at the moment. I've had one of my sons came in and actually helped me with the interviews one or 2 days just because he wanted to hang out. But yeah,
you know, so.
You need to find a real job.
Well, yeah, actually, no, but nowadays, you know, things have changed. I mean, and 20 years ago, you and I understand that you could make a lot of money being a DJ. You could make a lot of money being an artist. Things have changed. I mean, you can still do well, but the bottom line is, as a new artist, a new DJ, I would recommend doing something else. You know, as you said, a real job.
Right. So. Being an artist, I know that a lot of people, because I've thought about this many times. You know, I thought you look at somebody like the Beatles, because you brought up the Beatles earlier, and how they were around. They made awesome money, I'm guessing, but then you look at their record label, which made the majority of the money, and the artists themselves didn't really make a lot, and then you look at as we got into the 80s and the big bands in the 80s, they probably made more money than bands like the Beatles did during their heyday. And then you look at the 90s and it kind of changed, and I have actually talked to a couple of bands in the early 2000s that they were studio musicians that got paid a per diem when they went out on show. They basically, they got a salary and like $50 or $100 a day in order to, buy beer and smokes.
Well, things have changed. Back in the 60s, basically record companies were ripping off artists, shredding them to pieces, basically giving them nothing. And then, so a lot of artists actually were very, very successful artists, didn't make any money. I mean, if you watch some documentaries, I mean, like Queen and Van Halen and all those great bands, they were selling millions of albums, but were completely broke because the labels were basically giving them nothing. Mm-hmm. So later on in the 80s, things changed, and then now things have changed completely because you do not have labels anymore. I mean, what's left is very few labels. Country music is doing great. Country music is doing very well. But besides that, I mean, labels are gone. It's over, you know.
Right.
Things
Well,
of the past.
Terry, when it comes to labels and it comes to XYZ, because I'm on your Wikipedia page now. It says you guys were around from '86 to '92, and then you were dormant from '92 to 2002.
Right.
You know, in that 10 years.
Right.
What did you do? Did you do music projects in that 10 years, or did you like?
No, not really. To be really honest with you, I was very depressed. I suffer depression. I've always been. Unfortunately, I suffer depression, so I was going up and down, and I couldn't fathom the idea of not doing music and not doing what I wanted to do, basically, because I could, of course, play, but I wanted to be on the road and everything, so I was suffering. I was really depressed for 10 years and didn't do much. Just I was lucky enough to have good support around me because I'm still alive, but nope, didn't do much.
Did you get the band back? Then you got the band back together in 2002, and it's been nothing but.
Well, yeah, I got the band back together, and then after that I toured, and then I went into voiceover because I do a lot of voiceover gigs for. I did some for Paramount. I did the Rugrats, cartoons and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I love doing that stuff. And then I did a lot of jingles, a lot of well-known jingles for Dr. Pepper and all these big companies I was singing.
Can I stop you there just for a second? I want to play one of your greatest jingles ever. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is that all right? Okay. Hey.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm queuing it up. Ready? Here we go.
All right. This is Terry Ilous of the band Great White. That's right, I said Great White. And you're listening, baby. And you're listening to my good buddy Bob Schmidt. That's right, Bob. Ooh, on today's talk. 1490 WLFN. Bob Schmidt is the only way to go.
That's the kind of thing I do. I mean, once I have an agent, and she's from New York, and she calls me in the morning. That's why I wake up early usually. She's like, Terry, you have a jingle today for Dr. Pepper, or you have a jingle for Honda or whatever. I record the things real fast, just same way you do it. I mean, I'm sure you and I are very similar. We do the same thing, basically. You record the jingle for a sponsor and send it to them. If they like it, I get paid. If they don't like it, I don't get paid. But yeah, that's what I do.
Well, I like it. I'm paying you by letting you on the radio. How's that?
Well, you have a good life, man. I mean, you have a great life, actually.
Honestly, I love what I do. It's fantastic. So, how did you? I'll ask you this, and we'll jump in. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll just jump into your stuff right now. PledgeMusic.com.
Right.
With your project there, you're doing some different things there. You're offering up opportunities for people to basically learn how to Skype, learn how to sing with you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, I mean, I had to be creative. I mean, my new project, I need for the fans to finance it, basically by pre-ordering the CD or pre-ordering items like such as a Skype session with me, or coming to the studio and you can hang with me for a day when I record. You can do all kinds of stuff, and they will pre-order that, and I will use the money to fund my project. As we talked about it, Bob, there's no more labels, so money has to come from somewhere, and recording an album is very expensive, and promoting an album is even more expensive. So the fans nowadays, are the labels. By financing an album, by pre-ordering items, I can use that money and and pay for the musicians, the studio, the PR firm, all that stuff. That's basically it.
Well, you have everything from like $10 for a digital release up to a lifetime. You're gonna cook me breakfast and drive me to school. Drive me to school in the morning. That's awesome.
Well, I think again things have changed, and I think it's very important to give the fans something else. I remember the days where you could not. I'm myself a big fan of a lot of artists. Of course, I love Kiss, Zeppelin. There was no way I could talk to Paul Stanley or Jimmy Page back in the days. Nowadays it's so much easier to send an email to the website and say, hey, I'm a big fan. I want to talk to Paul Stanley. Well, chances are he's not going to answer back, but you'd be very surprised. Sometimes artists do reply. So nowadays, with the internet, things have changed a lot for the better or the worse, of course.
Terry, how do we find your Pledge Music stuff?
You go online. Basically, you go online and pledgemusic.com /Terry Ilous, which is me, and then you just go there, and then you can watch a video of myself with my little daughter. You can watch my wonderful guitar players, Ben Woods and Luis Villegas and Jose Garcia, and the guys whom I play with, and the flamenco guys, and you can watch a video, and you can pre-order items. And I think I really need the fans to be behind the project. Without the fans, there will be no project, basically, because it's expensive to come up with the money. And you know that. You and I are in the music business, so we need sponsors, we need fans. Without the fans, we're nothing. Who's going to listen to your show? Who's
Right.
Who's going to listen to my music? Nobody.
Right. Yeah, I doing the music business is a whole lot different in 2016 than it was in back in the 80s. Terry, I appreciate your time this morning. Hang on the line if you would. I'd like to set up another interview to BS a little bit more because this is always fun. From the band Great White and XYZ, it's Terry Ilous joining me this morning here on today's Talk 1490. You can find him by going to his page, or you can go to thepledgemusic.com and help him to fund some of the stuff that he's working on, some of his new projects. Thanks a lot for joining us here on today's Talk 1490. It's 8:30. My name is Bob. It's BS with Bob Schmidt.